4 more sleeps until Aggie football. Guys, it's game week. How excited are we? How good do we feel? How much maroon Kool-Aid are we guzzling right now? I know some of y'all aren't, but I know a good majority of us are. I think this is a team we can be excited about, man. It's been a long time since A&M has had stability in both the roster and the coaching staff. You made it to a year 2. Congratulations, team. You have coaching stability for the first time since before 2022. And it feels really, really good. It's really, really exciting, man. A good opponent, a fun opponent, UTSA. It's not a game you can sleepwalk through. It's not a game you can just scoff at and look past. It's a team that's going to focus A&M up. And I'm really, really excited about that. I'm so glad this defense, where I would think most of our questions lie, is going to be challenged with a legitimate offensive attack from the G5 level. You know, I don't know if UTSA would be considered a juggernaut or anything like that, but that is a serviceable offense that brings a lot of players back, particularly a quarterback that's going to be an NFL player, who knows to what level, a group of tight ends that are going to be really good, an upperclassman-led group of offensive linemen, a good running back room. UTSA will have a legit offense that will test A&M's defense, and I'm so looking forward to it. We're going to preview that game. I'll drop a video previewing that game, and then I'm going to get your score predictions on Thursday. Thursday, we'll do our final look-through of the A&M Week 1, the A&M season. I'll get your last takes. Tonight, we're looking at the depth chart, which just dropped today, this afternoon, and I'm going to give you my playoff predictions tonight and SEC win totals. I have to put pen to paper. If I'm making videos on YouTube, you know, I got to put my prediction out there. So I'm going to give you my playoff picks tonight. I'm going to give you my national champion tonight. You are not going to like it, because I don't like it. In fact, I hate it. It's not Texas. So we're fine there. So I'm also going to give my SEC over-under win totals. But we're going to start with the depth chart because, I don't know, guys. If y'all had any luck transcribing this thing, I mean, this thing's all over the place. Because you look at the top here. I can zoom in and move it around. It's kind of convenient. Ors are listed alphabetically. But pretty much none of this thing is actually alphabetical until you get to like the backup. So we're going to go through this thing line by line. And if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'll check in with chat after we go through the depth chart, and we'll see what you guys are saying about this thing. So I want y'all to let me know how y'all are feeling about this depth chart. First and foremost, I don't think we can take this thing for absolute gospel. I think there's a little bit of, you know, sneakiness built into this thing. I don't think Elko's one of the coaches that's pretty upfront with information. I mean, you can look at how he handles media at practices. Very select media availability for people to go to practice and record practice, just basically the individual drills. Not very forthcoming with information is this program. He had the Monday press conference yesterday, and all we really got were a few injury updates and a really good one in Le'Veon Moss, but not much new information. So we're going to go through this depth chart. We're going to take everything with a grain of salt. But I think there are a couple names we can definitely take from it. I mean, Marcel Reed, obviously QB1. And we heard from Elko yesterday, Miles O'Neill is QB2, beating out Jacob Zeno, who was really brought in to bring quarterback room experience, seniority. It's a young room when you're looking at redshirt sophomore Marcel, when you're looking at redshirt freshman Miles O'Neill, and true freshman Brady Hart. You kind of need someone to pace the room, and I think that's what Jacob Zeno is here to do. But you see the or next to Brady Hart or Zeno, I mean, it's political, obviously. You look at the receiver room. I mean, the running back room. Le'Veon Moss, Ruben Owens, listed as 1A, 1B. This part is alphabetical, but I think every Aggie knows and believes that Le'Veon Moss is running back 1, is the leader of this system. Move my head over here so I'm not in the way. And Ruben Owens. It's going to be interesting to see the split here, because I think Amari Daniels gets a pretty fair split in here too, but I think if you're trying to feature running backs, you want to go with your 5-star guy coming back from injury, really able to show what he's about, what he's developed himself into in Ruben Owens, and you obviously have to be able to feature Le'Veon Moss. Now, Le'Veon Moss's workload these first 2 weeks is going to be a topic of discussion. I don't know how much you're going to want to play him. I don't know how much early mileage you're going to want to put on Le'Veon Moss. Maybe 10 carries week 1, maybe 12 carries week 2, something like that would be reasonable, and then open things up, get plus 15 to 20 versus Notre Dame. If that, they're going to go slow at this, because Le'Veon told us today finally what that injury was, and that was a torn ACL and MCL. I mean, this is a big-time knee injury, and he has done a great job of coming back. I mean, I think getting Le'Veon Moss in practice the last 2 weeks of fall camp, moving around, having him listed ready to go week 1 is a major, major win in the injury realm. And, of course, we heard about Jerome Miles. We heard about Ruben Fothery. We heard about Papa Afua. Those are really, really bad injuries, especially for Papa Afua and, Jerome Miles. Jerome Miles, not a guy I expected to bust onto the scene early in this year, but a guy down the road in this year after his injury ramp up, because he's coming off of 2 back-to-back injuries his junior and senior years of high school. I would have expected him to maybe cover a role come November time in this receiver room that might be a little bit open towards the tail end of the rotation. You're not going to get that upside this year, and you just have to, feel for the kid. That's 3 years of injuries in a row, but he's expected to make a full recovery. But Le'Veon Moss was the shining star of the injury reports, and he's back. Jamari Morrow and E.J. Smith. I think we see these guys. I think this room can go 5 deep at times. I think you're going to want to throw these guys out here, at least in spurts, at least give them a drive or two. We've heard good things about EJ coming out of camp. We've heard great things about Jamari Morrow as an incoming freshman, the future of this running back room. KJ Edwards hopefully coming in next year too. The future of this room looks bright, and maybe Ruben Owens comes back next year too. Speaking of that receiver room, Casey Concepcion, the only receiver in the starting ranks without an or next to his name. He's wide receiver 1. He's probably the most clear-cut wide receiver 1 since Aniyah Smith, or maybe since, Christian Kirk. I think this is a go-to guy that we've been begging for, a slot guy, listed at 5'11", a guy that has, we all know about KC, make you miss ability, versatile receiver. I think they'll move him around. I don't think he's just playing slot. I think this is going to be a guy they move around and target in a lot of different ways, but he's a clear-cut starter. TK Norman backing him up. Here's where things get really weird. Mario Craver, Terry Bussey. Not listed in alphabetical order, so are we here to say that Mario Craver is the starter at receiver? I think we expected that, so I'm going to operate that way. And you can see sizes here, too. He's obviously 5'9", 165. We anticipated that, but he's that deep threat. He has upside as a slot, route runner, a guy that's not very bound by gravity, a guy that can cut either direction on a dime, a guy that runs great receiver routes, a guy that averaged over 20 yards of reception at Mississippi State last year as a true freshman. And he comes here as a cog in the machine. None of these receivers, none of these running backs, there's no single focal point of this offense, which is great to see. But Terry Bussey backing up 2 receiver spots. And as I've talked about, maybe not with you guys recently, but I expect a very specific kind of gadget role for Terry Bussey. Specific plays, specific packages to feature Bussey. See him in motion a lot. Hell, the way he looks right now in some of these clips we're getting, he looks ready to run between the tackles, man. Terry Bussey looks ready to run the damn rock. And I think they're going to feature him in a very specific way because I think ABR is indeed your starter at the other side. This side is in alphabetical order, so we'll take that with a grain of salt. I don't know what to make of this. They're both going to play. And ABR, just a guy we can't wait to see, right? A guy who's been a fall camp standout according to our insiders. Shout out to our insiders, by the way, for providing this depth chart and for giving us fall camp information over the weeks. We try not to pull anything that's behind a paywall until it's readily available and it's already circulating. We try to do that, but it's very clear that ABR is going to be a guy that's featured in this offense, and I'm excited to see it. Tight end's an interesting one, an important one. I'm not blocking anything, am I? Theo listed as the 1 out of alphabetical order, and then Borkashire and Nyblack in alphabetical order. I think Theo holds the upside in this room, man. You look at this receiver room, 5'11", 6 foot, 5'11", 5'9", 6 foot, 5'11". Theo, even more so than Amari Nyblack, I think needs to be that red zone guy. We saw it start to develop early when Marcel Reed first got into the game, starting for Connor when he went down against Florida, against Bowling Green. Back-to-back touchdowns in those 2 games. I think those games were back-to-back. I could be mistaken. I'm misremembering things. But Theo's upside could play a big, big role in this offense this year, both in the blocking realm and in the big pass catcher realm, because you need a 6'6 guy. You lost Jade 6'4". You lost Noah Thomas 6'6", and Theo represents that. So what's the culmination of work for Theo? I think there's a reason he's listed here first out of alphabetical order as your number 1 tight end. Nate Borkashire and Amari Nyblack. I think Amari, much like Bussey, is going to have a very specific role in this offense, and I think he could be a really big-time go-to third down kind of slot, maybe big guy, crossing routes, find some mismatches, be a safety valve, be a big target, kind of third and medium kind of guy. I don't know how much inline blocking Amari Nyblack's going to do for A&M. I don't think that's what you want him doing, but as a big-ass receiver, I think that's what Amari is. And he's listed as a tight end here, but I have a feeling he'll be lining up somewhere out here with these guys. And Nate Borkashire is going to be kind of in that Shane Calhoun role, I would think, this year. A blocker with some pass-catching stuff, with some RPO stuff. With this tight end room, and with kind of the 3-4 receivers you have at the top here, I really feel like you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel this year. And I think Colin Klein would love to do that. And I think this running game would do really well with it, especially if Theo and Nate can kind of pave the way with their blocking from the tight end position. Trey Zune, starting at left tackle, out of alphabetical order next to Ruben Fothery, who we know is probably not available these first few games. He's on the depth chart, but we got the update Monday. Just goes to show how much these depth charts are worth. Ruben Fothery is listed on it, and we know he's out. Trey Zune will start at left tackle. Lamont Rogers, incoming freshman. He's been highlighted from Trey Zune. I mean, they're playing next to each other. They're growing together. Lamont learning under Trey Zune. That's going to be big for Lamont's development. But now he finds himself maybe a play away. You know, this is a big-time moment for Lamont Rogers with Ruben Fothery down for 2-3 games. We're hoping we get Ruben back by that first bye week. And if something happens, knock on wood, you're looking at Lamont Rogers right there. However, they've cross-trained a lot on this offensive line. You have to imagine that a guy like Armaje Reed-Adams could slide to tackle. You have to imagine that a guy like Trey Zune could slide to center, as he's listed at right here as a backup center. Mark Naboo drawing the start at center if we're to believe this depth chart. Coley coming off the bench. You have to believe Coley probably cross-training at guard as well. Just what they're trying to do with this offensive line, using your best five at all times. But I say Lamont Rogers with, you know, your one go-to backup tackle being down. He finds himself in a pretty big situation right there, a play away. Armaje Reed-Adams, Demetrius Crownover. No oars next to Demetrius Crownover. This is his year, man. This is Demetrius Crownover's time to reap what he's sown. It's been a long ramp-up. We've been talking about Demetrius Crownover for years, coming in as a tight end. Now it's his time to show what he's developed into as an NFL upside right tackle that just needs to kind of clean out and round out his developmental years as an offensive lineman. Really exciting stuff from this offensive line group. Let's go on the defense. Some interesting stuff here. Dayon Hayes, listed in alphabetical order, but I don't know if we're believing that. Listed as the starting defensive end. And me and multiple other of you guys have anticipated that he has a really good chance to be the starting end opposite Cassius Howell. The 2023 pit tape is fantastic for Dayon Hayes. Obviously an injury-shortened season last year, like a week 2 injury at Colorado, so he's had some time to come back from his injury. Looked good in the spring game. He was ready to go then. I think Dayon Hayes is indeed your day one starter, but that's one we definitely want to wait and see because I think TJ Searcy is a great candidate here. Good on Solomon Williams to be listed in this, you know, backup role right here. He's a guy that could be the future of this position. He might get some look this year. Sam Mpemba listed there as well. Here's where you get really Ori. You're rowing the boat right here. But I'm looking at DJ Hicks and Albert Regis. That's what I would anticipate as your day one starter. It's their time. It's DJ Hicks' time. He's one of the main, if not the biggest swing piece on this entire defense. I think his level of play, what we get from a guy like DJ Hicks, can really swing this defense because what you lose inside, your lack of experience, depth inside. If DJ Hicks can just be a reliable go-to 3-tech / nose guard for this defense, I think that adds a lot. And Tyler Onyedem, I would anticipate, backs up both sides. You're going to see a 3-headed monster here. All three, DJ Hicks, Onyedem, and Regis, are going to just rotate round robin in those interior defensive line positions. But then you have Dalen Evans listed right here as the first backup, and DJ Sanders here listed as the first backup. I'm not even going to try to transcribe this. I believe they're going to go with seniority here and give it to Dalen Evans, who's put on like 30 pounds since jumping into College Station, since his senior year of high school. His body looks ready for an SEC workload. I'm guessing it's Dalen Evans, but DJ Sanders comes in as a freshman with that body ready to go. And I think Landon Rink brings that athleticism. So maybe you see all of them. And I would think in the early 2 games you do see all of these guys. But look at that round robin at the top for this defensive tackle position. Regis, Hicks, Onyedem. That's your go-to. And be real interested to see who the first one off the bench amongst the younger guys, who that might be versus UTSA. That'll be one of the things I'm watching for sure. Other side, one of the few guys on this depth chart without the or next to his name is Cassius Howell. Not surprising there at all. He's a guy we anticipate is going to take that step this year. Let's just see how he handles that down-to-down workload as an SEC defensive end. He did really, really well in the bowl game, was all over the place in that game, had that tip for an interception to himself in that game. Obviously, one of the most consistent forces on this D-line last year in a third down in a rotational role. It's his time, man. And then Rylan Kennedy, Marco Jones. I'm guessing this is kind of your edge side. They're calling it the jack side. Rylan Kennedy and Marco going to have a big role here. I don't know who's the first guy to come in the third down package. These are 2 really exciting edge rushers for Texas A&M right here. The future of this position is really freaking bright. One of the other guys without an or next to his name is Torian York, as is the other linebacker, Scooby Williams. Just 2 rock-steady pieces you bring in at linebacker. You have to believe that of all the units on this defense, that linebacker position is to be the tone setter of this unit, the leadership of this unit. Torian, obviously that quarterback of the defense. Scooby bringing that lateral athleticism, a great compliment to Torian York. Let's see how Torian York looks 7 pounds dropped. You know, he's kind of focused on his body, hopefully trying to add a step of quickness to his game. He needs it. That's the last step. Let's see what this Tommy Moffitt, couple of off seasons can do for Torian. And then Scooby just, had a career year last year. I mean, it wasn't all good for Scooby, but I feel like he ended the year particularly strong and got better and better as the year went on with that injury on his knee. I'm really excited to see a healthy Scooby Williams. Another guy without an oar, Tyreek Chappelle, go-to nickel. A guy that I think it was Jay Bateman was highlighting is a guy that kind of unlocks a lot of what this defense wants to do. And that's just play man defense with a single high safety, or at least two high safety. Whatever they want to do, they want to man up. And Tyreek Chappelle allows for that. Tyreek Chappelle is the go-to guy that can cover slot receivers, can, keep balance, cut either direction, and keep balance covering slot guys. So Tyreek unlocks a lot. And for his size, we know Tyreek is a willing and able tackler at the nickel. Definitely looks like a corner here with the 5'11", 180, but we know Tyreek Chappelle can be a tackler. And then another guy without the or next to his name, Will Lee, the blanket. Lockdown corner, day one. We know. This is Will Year's money year. He feels kind of jaded about being left off that Thorpe watch list. I'm excited to watch Will Lee. You got some exciting receiver matchups this year. Tyreek, Lee, and Des Ricks or Julio Humphrey will have a hell of a year to showcase what they're all about. Now, Des Ricks is a guy that was highlighted recently by coaches and by himself because he got a fall camp presser as a guy that's made strides this fall camp. And he's a guy that we anticipated had that in the belt, a guy that in the chamber, a guy that, many Aggies didn't want to see again after that bowl game. But Des Ricks was thrust into a hell of a job last year, being a freshman age player, being asked to be a go-to guy against Auburn and USC, both games where Will Lee went down and the secondary struggled. But now you come back with a clean bill of health, Des Ricks with Julio Humphrey next to him, rotating with him, supporting him. Who knows who starts? Honestly, right here, I do believe the or. Either of these guys can start, and they will rotate. And you can see that Julio Humphrey's going to back up both positions here. Whenever Will Lee needs a spell, you have to believe that it'll be Des and Julio. I think it's a great tandem if Des Ricks, we hit that upside, and he is able to take that step in his development. Now, here's what I'm really freaking proud of, and I think this is a sign here. This is what I'm taking from this depth chart right here. In a safety room where we anticipated there would be a four-man rotation, including Miles Davis, a guy that in Marcus Radcliffe that was an offseason darling, a guy in Dalton Brooks who many of us acknowledge has pro upside, Bryce Anderson, who had a down junior year moving back to safety, is the only safety in this rotation listed without the or next to his name as a starter. I have to take that and feel good about that. You have to feel like Bryce must have had himself a pretty good fall camp to not have that or next to his name. And of course, we're reading into things here. We're reading between the lines here. We'll know way more when we see this team. And we're just having fun right now, a few days before the game. But if Bryce can have that bounce back year, and this Marcus Radcliffe, Dalton Brooks duo, someone can emerge or both can emerge, you're going to feel so much better about this defense because the safety position was one that just surprisingly struggled last year. After in spring, when Mike Elko first came in, he highlighted the safety room as a strength of this team. He felt good about the safety room. And they just struggled a little bit last year in tackling, in run fits, in zone coverage. Hopefully Tyreek Chappelle back. I mean, in the development of the guys behind Tyreek Chappelle, which we didn't even talk about just now, hopefully that allows this defense to unlock what they really want to be. But I see Bryce, and I'm really happy for him. Dalton Brooks and Marcus Radcliffe, both, in that or situation right there. I thought Marcus was a clear-cut starter. We'll see what happens here. This one is alphabetical. It's political, obviously. Special teams, Randy Bond or Jared Zirkle. Is that a surprise to any of you guys? I thought this was like a clear Randy Bond situation here. But hey, maybe Jared Zirkle's doing something for himself, man. You have to believe he's the kickoff guy. Interesting. Keep an eye on it. I believe it's Randy, but let's keep an eye on this thing. Tyler White, obviously. Jacob Graham, long snapper. And here's your returners. Terry Bussey or Jamarian Morrow or Ruben Owens. Punt returner, which Elko acknowledged is a much more important position in today's day and age of football, given how many kickoffs or touchbacks now. KC listed as the guy. I mean, don't you want KC touching the ball as often as possible? If it's KC or Bussey, either one I'm happy with. Hell, throw them both out there if the other one's willing to block. I mean, these are both guys we want the balls in their hands as often as possible. But, KC is that guy right now. I think Terry Bussey and KC do a lot of similar things for a team. But all right, guys, that's a depth chart. We take it with the utmost grain of salt. And I'm going to go to the chat and see what you guys are saying about this dang thing. And I'm going to give you some SEC and playoff predictions because I have to get those out there for y'all. All right, let's back things all the way up. I saw a question early here. Brady Hart over Grandpa Zeno. Thoughts? I definitely think that Zeno would be kind of an emergency guy, but I think Brady has, based on what we've heard, has proven himself in fall camp to at least be in that conversation. But again, I think Zeno's in there to be a leader more so than anything. I think that's why, Jacob Zeno was brought to A&M. See Jay Wynn, thanks for being here. The game day vibes are coming already. What up, Ted? Good to see you. Trooper Drew, good to see you. Any comments about this depth chart? Call me skeptical. Tired of wait till next year. You're allowed to be skeptical until you see it. Let's see what we get. Ohio State again. I have them in the playoff. I don't have them winning the damn thing. Not Ohio State again. Hope it's not Penn State. I don't have Penn State winning at all. Spoiler alert. It's not Penn State, guys. Hayes and Moss seem to have a quiet confidence around the team. I think quiet confidence is the word, but every team's going to believe in themselves. But I mean, you got so many guys coming back. You have coaching staff continuity. There's reason to feel good about this team with a difficult schedule, though. I'd settle for Alabama taking it back if it's not us. They have a good chance, man. They're making it far. I'm surprised Zeno didn't make quarterback, too. I think Miles O'Neal is just that guy, man. Sounds like he's doing really well. If Reed goes down, I'd rather have a veteran quarterback than a redshirt freshman running the offense. That's fair, but if that redshirt freshman is as talented as we've heard, man, you want to take a shot with that thing, I think. Maybe you see them both if that happens, but that's not going to happen. Healthy quarterback this year. Wide receiver depth is actually pretty thin. Injury or two away from being scary thin. Yeah, and then we're going to go heavy 12 personnel. I think you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel this year, and I think you have the tight ends to do it. Especially with Nyblack being like a pseudo receiver, man. That could be some good stuff. You can do a lot of sneaky things out of 12 this year. What up, Aaron? It's almost here. Can't wait to see how the season goes, man. I'm so excited for Game 1. We'll learn a lot Game 1. Nyblack was recruited by Bama in Texas. I don't think he's bad unless you're saying Sark missed on him. Yeah, he just ran into Gunnar Helm at Texas, man. Gunnar Helm was the truth. That's just what it is. Mark Naboo the starter. Yes, he is. Mark Naboo starting. It seems that Faye will be the guy off the bench. And Naboo can play guard. I'd imagine Faye can play guard. I think the first thing they would do if something happens is slide Naboo to guard and put, Coley at center. That's a great center to have. Or even put Zune at center. There's a lot of things you can do. But while Fothery's done, I would anticipate Coley going to center if something happens. Better hope Hicks, Regis, and Tyler Needham stay healthy all year. Man, there's health urgency there, and there's health urgency at the linebacker position and receiver positions. I think we're seeing now you can sustain some stuff at offensive line. It's going to happen early in this year, unfortunately. You can sustain stuff at running back. You can sustain stuff in the secondary. You don't want to see it anywhere. But specifically at D tackle, specifically at linebacker, specifically at receiver, you got to stay healthy there. No one is saying Nyblack's going to be a blocking tight end, but he has the capability of being a Kyle Pitts, and that'd be sick. Yeah, I see a guy that's going to slide out, not play a lot of inline tight end, but hopefully some upside blocking in open field. Let's hope he can take a step up there. He has the size at 6'3", 240. But, man, he looks fast in these practice clips. And what a practice clips, but he looks freaking fast. I was hoping Bryce would be the starter for his last season, but it looks like Ratcliffe took it away. Nope. It's Bryce. Bryce is the only safety in that starting rotation listed without an or next to his name. Smash that like button for our boy Drew, like Le'Veon's going to smash defenses this year. Yeah, I'll hit that like button while you're here. We'll be back Thursday night talking more A&M. I'm going to give you my playoff stuff today. But on Thursday night, I'm going to ring dunk on this channel and then take your calls, your last conversation, our last words together before we get into the season. I can't wait for Thursday, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Will Chappelle stay healthy? Man, it's a question in a lot of places. Let's see it happen. I like the depth at nickel now with Shaw and Bravion Rogers as a junior, though. Everyone depth chart looks good. Beat anybody this year. You can beat anybody this year. Ag's almost game day, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Aggie, Banter. What's up, Banter? Good to see you, man. So glad we're playing this week. Destroy UTSA. Yes, sir. Man, I just want to see the team speed and our wide receivers and running backs make explosive. We have so many exciting playmakers on offense, man, and an offensive line to boot. That dude brings up Nyblack. Oh, yeah, he does. He does. Elko likes to hold his cards. He won't give all the answers away on week 0. No, he won't. And we're going to get a light look, I think, first and second week. But you got to mind your P's and Q's versus UTSA, man. UTSA, if you come out and you make a ton of offensive mistakes against a pretty, I'm going to say bad defense in UTSA. UTSA is replacing 11 starters on defense. Take the opportunity offense. Do not play with your food offense. I need offense to come out there and leave no doubt this Saturday. That's the thing. Defense will have a challenge with their offense, but our offense has no excuse not to drop 40 this game. So ready for Saturday. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there too, man. Miles has an NFL arm. Hell yeah, he does, Daniel. Hell yeah, he does. I bet we see some formations similar to Iowa State with some 3 tight end formations. 100% we will. So Terry isn't a starter. It's not confirmed. There's an or next to the name. I'll pull it back up. There's an or next to Terry Bussey's name right here. He's the backup at 2 receiver spots. I think he's playing a specific gadget role for this offense. I think he's going to have specific forms and plays ran for him is what I think is going to happen for Terry Bussey. He's going to rotate a lot. We'll be fine. Quarterback not getting hurt this year. We have the offensive line to do it. I just need Marcel Reed to, take his hits wisely. Bussey still learn how to play receiver, but he's going to play a lot either way. Yes, he is. I heard it's supposed to rain Saturday. I'll be there no matter what, though. Same, man. I'm not giving my tickets up. I'm going to be there day one. All right, guys. That's the depth chart. Time to give some playoff predictions. SEC over, under. I want to give some win totals. I'm doing this stuff on YouTube. If I'm going to talk about A&M, if I'm going to hype up my boys, I have to put my pen to paper. I have to tell you guys where my picks are going. And all right, I'm going to pull in my brother to help me with this thing. Matt, how you doing, man? You excited for football?
What's up, Drew? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Dude, I'm so hyped, man. We're 2 days away. I'm excited for Thursday, Nebraska, Cincinnati. But yeah, man, long off season.
I know, man. Tell everybody what you are, what you do. I know you got the podcast. It's been reinvigorated this week. I know you're Texas centric, but tell everybody where they can find you, man, and just kind of what you're feeling for your Longhorns and maybe for A&M this year.
Yeah, I have a podcast I'm on with a couple buddies. It's called Texas Platinum. We put a video out a couple days ago, so we're back. So check us out.
Go talk trash to them. Endless trash. I need that from you guys.
Yeah, we're pretty biased. As far as what I think about the Longhorns this year, I think we're going to have a really good season. But it's a very young team, very new team, so I think it's going to look a lot different. So very nervous going into Ohio State Saturday, of course, just because you don't know what to expect. We're in very similar boats, them and us. So hopefully Arch is ready. But, man, it's either way, I'm just very, very hyped that it's this time of year, best time of year.
Man, Bevo's bodyguard, he's a Longhorn. He's a regular trash talker in this chat, and he's here. He knows Texas Platinum, so he's happy to see you. So you got your little Longhorn connection. Yes, Matt and I exist in a house divided, but we both share our love for college football. I'm an Aggie first. He's a Longhorn first, but we're diehard, overall college football fans. So we're going to put pen to paper here. We're both going to put our picks out there on the internet so it's out there. And let's get right into this, Matt. We're going to do SEC over-under win totals so everyone can know how we're feeling about this conference this year. We're going to go in alphabetical order. We're going to go with Alabama first. I'll give you the floor, man. How you feel about Kalen DeBoer in a year two, getting Grubb back?
Dude, I love Kalen DeBoer. I mean, as a Texas fan, I actually despise Kalen DeBoer in many ways because he's been Sark's boogeyman the last couple of years, and all he does is win everywhere he goes. I was actually shocked that they dropped as many games as they did last year, but Jalen Miller was never a great fit in that offense. Getting Grubb back there paired with DeBoer is very exciting for them. Ty Simpson, I don't know much about. I know he was a 5-star that flipped from Clemson, and I know he's been in the system for a while, so I expect him to be at least Milroe level, probably better, an upgrade there. And I know their defense has apparently nothing but NFL players on it, a bunch of veterans. So I think Bama's going to be very good. I think they're a safe pick to make it to Atlanta. But the whole SEC field, the top 4 teams, Bama, Georgia, Texas, and LSU, as stacked as they all looked, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's why they play the games. But my early thoughts are they're going to be really good and probably crush that 9.5 line.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man. I love what they bring back everywhere in the trenches defensively. They could have had like 8 guys go pro last year, and they all come back. So if you're just looking at NFL talent, Alabama is stacked everywhere, and they're a quarterback away from literally having like one of those Nick Saban Alabama years. Now, I don't know how this thing's going to look once Nick Saban's talent leaves Alabama. I don't know how the evals are going to go after that with DeBoer now at the SEC level. They're recruiting pretty well right now. But I know this year with the talent that's still around, Ty Simpson, much more of a system fit. I have this thing smashing the over, and they might be my playoff 1 seed, man. I think they might go 11-1 this year and then win the damn SEC. But anyway, let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum here. Not quite the opposite, but Arkansas, a bottom dweller this year. Bring back Taylor Green. It's a fun name. It's a fun quarterback. It's a quarterback that can just, make it happen by himself. But he's also a quarterback that can do a lot of head-scratching things. You're going to talk a lot about him when you're talking about Arkansas. But they have been picked apart in the portal going on 2 years now. Every time it seems like someone emerges at Arkansas, they get picked off. And it's sad because everyone, I don't know. They're a rival, and I like Sam Pittman. I think he's a likable dude. I just don't see it for Arkansas this year. They have a couple of games that could go either direction. I think the game versus Auburn's an inflection point. I think Mississippi State's an inflection point. But someone has to lose games in this conference this year. and I unfortunately think Arkansas is one of them. How do you feel?
I think it's more likely that Arkansas goes 2-10 than they go on the hit the over on this. I'm looking at their schedule, and I don't know why they scheduled Memphis on the road and Notre Dame
It's
as if,
ridiculous.
as if they are a power program to begin with. Respect to them, honestly. I admire that they're not scheduling a Tennessee non-con, but yeah, they're just cooked, as the young folks say. I mean, they don't really have any redeeming qualities. All their good players transferred out. You were telling me, and it's just the end of the road for Sam Pittman. Unfortunately, I think it's Jeff Traylor's season in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
That's a fun one because he can recruit the hell out of Texas from right there in Fayetteville, and that's where all his roots are. He's a Texas boy. I mean, I'm for that. We'll get up close and personal with Jeff Traylor this weekend. Auburn's an interesting one. Super high upside, but I think there's a super high failure rate possibility with this team. But I'm actually thinking Auburn lands somewhere in the middle this year. They obviously have pieces in the offensive line for the first time in a while. One of the best receiver duos in the conference in Coleman and Singleton. You know, there's a world where Jackson Arnold like lives up to the 5-star hype and he carries them to like a playoff type of year, but it's not my world. I think this is 7-5, 8-4, and I'm gonna edge under here for Auburn.
Yeah. Yeah, Auburn's one of those teams. I kind of lump them in with Florida and OU, where I think if it hits, they can be a potential playoff team. At 7.5, I kind of like going over. I think Hugh Freeze, it's now or never for him. I do like what they brought in the portal. I'm not a Jackson Arnold believer by any means. I think that Ashton Daniels quarterback transfer from Stanford, I think that's their guy. I think if they're going to have a big season, it's not going to be with Jackson Arnold. So
Yeah.
I think they're going to rotate him is what Hugh Freeze was getting at.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some situational quarterback shifts, which is 3 guys. I don't know, man. Didn't we just do that with a couple of guys, Peyton Thorne and the other guy? I forget his name. Yeah, the vibes aren't spectacular coming out of Auburn. I will say Hugh Freeze is a known sandbagger. He could just be, doing a bait and switch. But, again, some teams have to lose games this conference. I have Auburn 7-5, though, which isn't a, disaster year. But I don't think it's enough to, really instill great confidence in Hugh Freeze. So I'm going under. Are you going under?
I'm going over. I think they'll find a way to get to 8.
Whoa.
I love Cam Coleman, and Eric Singleton's a really good. They have good receivers, and I think they'll scratch to have a good season.
Okay, nice. I like it. I like the disagreement there. All right, Florida, real interesting one. Real juicy line given the amount of talent on this team, but they obviously have an absolute gauntlet. I think early in their year, they have a stretch of games that's Miami, LSU, bye week, Texas, and then A&M. But if they come out of that thing 2-2, they do have a pretty nice 5-game stretch to end the season. So if they can get to that 5-game stretch and maybe win out and keep DJ Lagway healthy, I can see Florida as a 9-win team this year, if not a 10-win team if things go really, really well. I see this as a roster with minimal holes. I see this as a roster that has great trenches on both sides, a lot of players coming back, a lot of good portal action. If Lagway's health, that's where this thing goes. Where is Lagway, come game 4 in that stretch? Where's Lagway versus A&M after going against Texas and playing Miami and LSU? Where are you at? I'm going over for Florida, actually. I have them as a playoff team, and I know that's probably a juicy hot take for y'all.
This is a tough one because I think 7.5. That's a really tough number to grade. I would lean over as well. I think they'll be an 8-win team. I'm not really buying the Florida hype, but I do think that the schedule lines up with home games against like Tennessee, and I think they'll get to 8 wins. So I guess I'm going over. But I really haven't seen, I didn't really get to tune in on Florida down the stretch last season. Last I saw them was they were just getting killed by most teams. But I do know that their talent level is very high, and Lagway's potentially a first overall type talent. So if he's healthy, they'll definitely go over. But will he be healthy? So I'll go over, but I'm not confident in it.
Yeah, just kind of like the fan verbiage way I'm kind of thinking about the SEC this year. I think in the top tier, I'll be honest, Texas is in there, Bama's in there, Georgia's in there, just because of continuity, just because of the players they're bringing in and bringing back. And then tier 2, I have Florida based on talent, LSU based on talent, and I have A&M in the second tier. And I think any of those teams in tier 2 could shine through this year and find themselves in a playoff run. And I think that's going to be a really tight battle, as y'all will see with my playoff predictions in just a minute. Georgia, I'm a believer in the talent. I'm a believer that they're going to get enough out of Gunnar Stockton. I think this team's just an absolute machine. I have them going over. I have them in the SEC championship.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Georgia, everyone's sleeping on in a big way, and Kirby Smart's eating that up. I thought Gunnar Stockton looked good. I thought he was an upgrade when they put him in the SEC championship over Carson Beck. If Beck would have not gotten hurt, we probably would have won that game because he couldn't do anything. And he looked decent against Notre Dame once he gets more experience. He's a 5-star kid,
Yeah.
so he's going to be a good player. And the defense, they lose a lot, but they also – I like KJ Bolden, and they just plug and play there. I will say, though, their depth isn't like it used to be from my perspective, although I'm not a huge Georgia guy. I don't know the ins and outs of everything, but I think they'll definitely get 10, 11 wins, honestly. And I think they're my pick right now to win the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, I have them there in the title weekend with Bama in a rematch. I have them making the playoff. They just reload the best, with the best of them, with the best system that there is in football right now. But now we're truly going to go to the opposite end of the spectrum. I think Kentucky and Mississippi State are going to fight for last place in the SEC. And I really like Zach Calzada. I think we saw this last weekend what UIW is without Zach Calzada. I love him, but I don't love what's at Kentucky right now. I think they're going under the 4.5.
Yeah, I'm looking at that schedule, and 4.5 is going to be tough. I'm going to go under 2. I think Cutter Boley's a good quarterback. He came in against Texas and kind of had some nice balls under pressure thrown to Barryon Brown. They're good receivers, Dane Key, Barryon Brown. It feels very much like Arkansas, like they're kind of looking over at John Summerall at Tulane, who's a Kentucky grad, to see if they can get him. But there's going to be a long line for him at the end of this year. So, yeah, I think it's under. And, the wins have to come somewhere, and I think Kentucky's going to be giving out wins to everyone in the SEC.
Yep. Now, this LSU one is a really interesting one because obviously that's a fan base that feels like they have what it takes to win it all. And quite honestly, if their areas of question come to fruition, and we'll see this in week 1 versus Clemson, they will become a contender in my mind. Right now, they sit soundly in tier 2, but I'm waiting to see what happens in week 1. Even if they put up a good fight against Clemson, even if they're competitive defensively, if that offensive line can give any kind of push and protection, that new look offensive line. They lost 4 guys to the NFL, and they weren't even a good run stop or a good run blocking offensive line last year, not particularly great. Where's this offensive line? It has not been the best reports coming out of camp, but camp reports are one thing, week 1 evidence is another thing. Their season hits them fast. I don't think they have a lot of pitfalls in their season. I think their season's pretty evenly spaced out, where it's like they have a big game, then a lesser game, big game, lesser game. So they'll have a chance to get their footing under them early in the year, but they do have to play Ole Miss, I think Florida and Clemson within the first 5 weeks. We're going to know everything about LSU quickly. But this line, it depends on where you look. You can see it at 8.5. You can see it at 9.5. At 8.5, I'm taking the over. I think LSU's a 9-3 team this year, and I do have them losing to A&M. And I'm really interested to see how this rebuilt defense does in the portal, because last year, this rebuilt through the portal defense does. Because last year they did the Blake Baker move. They poached the Missouri staff. They got their staff last year. They got the kind of the groundwork in. They bring back Whit Weeks. They bring back Harold Perkins. They bring back a couple of young D tackles that have played for them. There's a world where this defense can elevate, but it's something I have to see first. I'm going over. I have them at 9-3 right now.
Yeah, that's another tough one. I've never been that high on LSU, but I feel like everyone's kind of fading LSU as fall camp goes on. The Nussmeier injury. I think they'll get to 9 wins, but I don't think LSU fans will be happy about that. I think they're going to go 9-3. Schedule's kind of dicey. I do like their weapons on offense with Caden Durham, it's a good running back, and then they brought in Barryon Brown. Aaron Anderson's a good receiver, and Nussmeier's a gunslinger. I do think Nussmeier's kind of has that Quinn Ewers gene in him, though. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, where in a big game against an elite defense, I don't know if he's good enough to get it done. I saw him fold against A&M, but, I mean, he's had good games here and there. But I'm not a huge Nuss believer, but I think he's going to put up good numbers and has a high floor. So I'll take 9-3, so give me the over.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you there. This thing you can, like I said, you can fight at 9.5, and I'm taking the under there because I think 9-3 is pretty safe here. But things change right away. Things can change right away in week 1. And to be fair, I don't talk about their weapons enough. I don't talk about Caden Durham, Barryon Brown, Nick Anderson, Aaron Anderson, and Chris Hilton could be kind of the unsung star in that room. Not the flashy name that they brought in, not the Aaron Anderson leading receiver last year, but a guy who, when he came in, was a difference maker. He might end up being their lead receiver, but offensive line has to make it happen, and they have to help out a quarterback who hasn't been particularly great under heavy pressure. Mississippi State, it's unfortunately another team that I think is going to be eating losses this year for the conference. I don't know too much about them. I just, I know that they've also been picked apart in the portal in a full rebuild. Rest in peace, Mike Leach. I love that man.
Yeah, man, it's a fall from grace. They should bring back Dan Mullen after he gets rolling at UNLV. I'll go under as well. They're open at Southern Miss and Hattiesburg. That might be a loss. And I like Blake Shapen, but that's pretty much all I like. So
Yeah. Thank you for Mario Craver, by the way. Let's catch up with the chat real quick. I see Marcel Rita's King. Good to see you, man. Drewtamu. Good to see you, man. You have LSU at 9-3, Jeb. Yeah, I think that's the safe pick for them. I think they're good enough to obviously go 10-2, 11-1 if those question marks come out the positive side. But there's also an 8-4 path for them. Josh Pate has them going 8-4. I mean, that has to count for something. Chris Cobb has them going 8-4. Chris Cobb says Ags 9-3 or 10-2, just like the depth chart. I'm with you there, Chris. I think 10-2 is more likely than 8-4 for A&M. We'll get there in a second. I'm really interested to hear Matt's take on A&M. Missouri, they're very much in a reset. Losing that crop of receivers, quarterback change, running back change. I like who they bring in, the ULM guy. But I just think there's enough change here to keep me from, picking the absolute upside for Missouri this year. But with their schedule, there is absolutely 7, 8, or even 9 wins on their schedule. So I think this is a smashed over here. I don't think Missouri's contending for the playoff, but I think they're a pretty safe over just given how they've kind of been recruiting and at least the level that Drink has them at now. Not kind of a national contender, but a constant force, I would say. And A&M will have to mind their P's and Q's going to that one. A weird away game late in the season.
yeah, Missouri. I like their defense on paper. Their quarterback situation's dicey. I think Bo Pribula is his name.
That's
beat
right.
out Sam Horn, which is interesting. I don't know. I don't think I like that because I like Sam Horn out of high school. So yeah, I'm gonna go at 6.5 with that schedule. It's honestly a manageable SEC schedule. They don't play Georgia or they only get Bama, and I think they get A&M.
They
and
get
they're both
Bama and A&M both at home. I have them losing both games, but unfortunately, there's a world where they upset an A&M. That could happen, but I think there's a world where this team drops 1 or 2 they're not supposed to as well.
I think Eli Drinkwitz just has some swag about him. So let's go over.
Nerd swag? Is that what we're talking?
Yeah,
He's always making the headlines for something that's not football, which is kind of funny and kind of fun for the program. I kind of like it. I think it's some fun juice for the conference. He's easy to point and laugh at, but I think he has Missouri fans excited, man. They've had a couple of, it was crazy last year just to wake up after that A&M win, the big win at home, and, kind of the struggles in November for A&M to wake up and see Missouri ending as a 10-win team. Like, what? Yeah. Anyway, all right, we're both going over here. I'll let you take it with OU, good old Red River rivalry.
OU, I'm going to go under.
Let's go.
Jaden Ott's still banged up. I think he was third string on their depth chart right now. Mateer's a good player. He's going to be a problem for a while, I think. But that schedule is very daunting. And their defense, of course, is going to be solid with Venables. They got some really good D-line, and they have some good linebackers and good corners, Jenry Williams, and a good safety, and Peyton Bowen. But I'm going under. That schedule is menacing. They're going to start off 5-0. I think they'll beat Auburn. I think they'll beat Michigan, have all the hype. And they're under that wall of Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, LSU, Bama, Tennessee, Missouri. So I think they end up going like 7-5, and I think they're looking for a new coach here pretty soon.
Let me ask you this, though. If the upside hits, if the receiver room and the offensive line comes together, they have an elite defense. I'm comfortable saying that. If the offense comes together under Mateer, can this team, with the meat on this schedule, get in at 9-3?
For sure. If they go 9-3, they're most likely in, I would say. Depending on the rest of the field, them in Florida, we were talking about this, are the teams that 9-3 should get them in, especially if they have a big win, let's say against Bama or against LSU, another playoff team. I think that puts them in squarely. 8-4, honestly, 8-4. If the field's really just chaos everywhere, they could be in a conversation. But 9-3 for sure, I think they're in.
Yeah, I'm out on the 8-4 talks this year. I'm looking at the Big Ten, and I think there's going to be a lot of 10-2, 9-3 teams coming out of that conference that are going to be vying. And I think the precedent was kind of set last year, where 9-3 is iffy. South Carolina had as good as argument as anybody. I think they won 6 games in a row to close out the year. Some big wins, A&M, Clemson. But yeah, I have them going 8-4. I think they're pretty good, but not good enough. I have them going just under. That's a really close one. If they're 9-3, look out. But I think they're just a shade away from that, and I don't think they're searching for the coach at 8-4. I think they're going to take that and run with it. Ole Miss, 8-5. It would have been different if they brought in the elite tight end, Luke Hawes, really high on that guy. Goes down with injury. They're replacing a lot defensively. I like Austin Simmons. I feel like we're basing a lot off of one drive, though, for Austin Simmons. I'm going to go 8-4 here. I admittedly don't know as much about Ole Miss as a non-opponent this year. What do you feel? I have 8-4.
Ole Miss benefits from a very favorable schedule. All their tough games are at home.
Read it to me.
They play in they host Arkansas, at Kentucky, home against LSU, at Georgia. That's a loss. At Oklahoma, South Carolina at home, Florida at home, and at Hail State. So I guess there are a couple of tough road games, but I still think that's a manageable schedule. But I think I'm going to go under here. Austin Simmons, that's what I know nothing about him. I just know that he's very hyped up. I know that defense lost a lot from last year, but Kiffin's building a program quietly where they'll kind of sleepwalk to 9-10 wins the last couple of years. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him go over, but I think I'm going to go under narrowly here.
Yeah, very narrow. Same with OU. South Carolina's a real interesting one. Pull up their schedule and talk us through it. They start with 5 pretty manageable games for that roster, and with a quarterback that I think can drag this team along despite what they lose kind of in the trenches, especially on defense. You know, Lenora Sellers has that upside of doing kind of what a Cam Newton did. I'm not trying to make that comparison, but when Cam Newton dragged Auburn, you know, along the way, just with solo play and the ability to just bail out an entire offense, I see that with Lenora Sellers, and we saw that firsthand in the A&M game and versus Clemson. He has that upside. I don't quite have USC in the playoff conversation this year. I think they're one loss away from it, just because I think they lose just enough in, you know, going into this season, especially up front in the trenches defensively and the secondary defensively. I think they're like a piece or two away, but there is a world where they make it. There is a world where they, you know, this thing just hits the upside, because they have a couple of like 24-year-old running backs. They have Dylan Stewart back. They have some exciting secondary pieces back. You know, you got to respect what Shane Beamer's done there, man. I'm going to just go slightly over at 8-4 for South Carolina. I have it as a close win for A&M at home.
Yeah, I think Lenora Sellers is like the closest thing to Superman I've seen. You know, down the stretch, I remember watching that Clemson game last year. He single-handedly kind of won that game for them based on what I saw. And I think he's the real deal. They do lose so much, you're right. You know, they bring back their 2 superstars, but everything else is gutted. But I do like what Shane Beamer's building out there. That running back got cleared, I think, yesterday, that like 5th-year guy.
That's a big deal. No, he's like a 6th or 7th year guy. He's on that Calzada track.
Yeah, he's a grown man. I think that's going to be a good punch, 1-2 punch. You know, they lost Rocket Sanders, but now they'll have another guy to run. With their home games against OU, Bama, Clemson at home, it's a tricky home slate, but 7.5, I'll go over. I'm a believer in Lenoris. As a playoff contender, I'm not sure, but I think they'll be in that 8-9 area. And if they're at 9, I mean, you could honestly throw them in that combo too, but not to the extent of OU and Florida with 9-3. But give me the over.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Tennessee's one where it seems like it's going to be a pretty uneven look. I like a lot of what they bring back defensively, but offensively, it's like a full reset. Running backs, receivers, quarterback, obviously, an unexpected shift. I have them going 8-4 this year. I think that defense is going to carry them along the way. I don't think it's going to be a full disaster year, but I don't think they're you know, looking at what they might have looked at if Nico is able to stay and develop under Heupel in that kind of, you know, NASCAR system that they have. That's we'll see. We'll see what the running back, you know, follow up is to Sampson. That's going to be an interesting dynamic, because that's been so strong for them. Is just the run through the hurry up, the run through the spread. It's been a very, you know, kind of quirky system out there. Let's see if they can be next man up and plug and play, and if Heupel's system can shine through offensively, because that's really what they have going for them this year. But defensively, they'll be fine. They'll be 8-4, but I have the under.
Yeah, I'm going under too. I think they're going to lose to Syracuse week 1.
That'll stamp it in. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't like Joey Aguilar. And like you said, if they would have kept Nico, maybe even so, I think they were always building towards 2026. They're going to be young. They lost a lot from that good defense they had last year. New running backs as well. Brew McCoy's finally graduated. He had a good run. But, give me the under. Although their schedule, I'm looking at it, does look – actually, never mind. They have a tough schedule. Yeah, give me the under.
Yeah, I'm going 8-4, 7-5. I think they'll be fine, though. I think this is an unexpected, surprising kind of a year for them. Yeah, we'll go with a safe under there. All right. This is one that I'm excited for. I think your over-under for 2025 in Texas is coming down to the last game of the year. I have you drop into Florida. I have you drop into Georgia, both on the road, both very talented teams. I already predicted that Texas loses, that A&M loses to Texas. I like a lot of what Texas brings. I think there's a lot of hype factor with Texas, but I think there's also a lot of substance there. Obviously, the recruiting machine, it's cranking there now. It's working. Sark is building something there. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to let my bias get in the way of seeing that. I see you bring back an elite player at every level of your defense in Simmons, Hill, and Taffy, and then some. There's obviously leadership to go around. Offensively, I know there's a lot of Texas fans that are bullish on the offensive line. I have to see it. I have you winning week 1 in a narrow game. I have Texas eking at 10-2 on this over. But I'm really hoping A&M is the team to stop that because I think that's what it comes down to. And I think an SEC title, trip, an SEC championship game trip will be on the line in Austin to close this year out.
Yeah, I'm going over too. And we all know A&M, and we know when the money's on the table versus Texas, we all know Texas is going to take care of business. So, no, I'm just kidding.
We don't know that.
Kidding. I'm trying to fire you up. I think over is good. I like 10-2 as a floor for this team. 9-3 would be a disaster, but it's possible. The schedule is tricky with 3 really tough road games, and then OU and A&M are going to be tricky too because they're big rivals that are pretty solid this year. So the schedules kind of makes me hesitant, but if I had to bet money on it, for sure I'm going over. I think Sark's just loaded this roster and developed it so well. Guys you don't even know about right now are going to become first round, second round picks here in a year or two. It just feels very just systematic, machine like, and it's kind of plug and play. And it's all on the O-line. I agree with that. But I think that it's a lot more experience than people realize. We have basically 3 returning starters. If you factor in Cole Hudson next to DJ Campbell, and then Gooseby played really well down the stretch. But still, the right side needs to be patched up. So yeah. I'm excited. I think over.
Yeah. Green Wave, I appreciate what you're saying there. He said, don't sleep on UT. And they're like, we have UT dropping a couple games. He's like, no, I didn't mean Texas. He means the real UT. So Green Wave, I respect that. And I want you to talk me into the Tennessee offense this year. I admit from afar, not being a regular opponent, I would like to hear you, make the case for Tennessee's offense. I'd be interested to hear that. But we're both going over for Texas, and I think it comes down to the last game. Do you have a record prediction for Texas, Matt?
Yeah, I'm biased. I put us at 11-1, losing at Georgia. I feel like we have a Georgia problem right now until we don't. But 10-2, I could also very well see. I'm stuck between 10-2 and 11-1.
Okay, I like it. All right, A&M. Everybody here knows my thoughts on A&M. Everybody here knows I'm taking the over here because I think when you build the 8-4 joke into the over of a win total, I think that makes it a layup. It's obviously heavily juiced over here if you get it at 7-5. At a lot of places, it's shifted up to 8-5. 8-4. So yeah, I'm over for A&M. I have A&M winning 9 games this year. Matt, you have the floor. What do you expect from the Aggies this year?
Yeah, I'm going to go under on this one. I just don't think A&M. No, I'm kidding. This is a big time over. Why is it 7.5? That's a error or something. That's
I know. This is the free money on the. I'm saying this, knock on wood, but yeah, it's shifted up to 8.5 at a lot of places. But this was, I think, DraftKings, and it's still sitting at 7.5, like minus 130, 7.5. It's like plus 140 to get the under. I think I don't know, man. That's an interesting one. You would think that would be built in, like easy money at 8-4. Like have them going 8-4 again. All right, like it's crazy, but sorry. Continue.
Yeah, even if Marcel Reed stays the same, as long as Le'Veon Moss comes back and just is close to what he was, the offense alone will get you to 8 wins, I think, with that schedule. Defense, I'm not as high on. I think you want as high on him. You want to see it as well. But I think that offense will be really good with Conception and Craver and that O-line, a veteran O-line with some good potential NFL players. Marcel Reed, everyone, he's taken this bulletin board material, so maybe he'll prove the haters wrong. I never thought he was that bad. I just didn't think he was like that good. I thought he was, well, to be fair, I saw him through the lens of the Texas game against like a really, really good defense, but he looked really good against USC. I thought he looked really good against LSU, of course, but I want to see him take that next step passing, which he probably will. But that defense, I just feel like there's always something, but Elko's there to hopefully fix that for y'all. But even so, even in a disaster season, I still think y'all get 8-4.
Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable saying 8 and floor. It's pretty perfect. It's 8 and floor. 8-4 is the floor this year. I think there's some tricky road games on the schedule, and I think that's kind of what's handicapping the whole prediction this year. I think there's a lot of prove it factor with this defense, bringing back the entire back seven, but that secondary really needs to step up. We'll see what happens, man. I love the continuity in the kind of the question area that is the secondary. New look defensive line will be interesting. Let's see how this defense comes about. Let's make sure this offense hits the ground running versus UTSA. Vandy. Is it really 4.5? Because I feel like that's an over for Vandy. It is like, as much of a meme team as they are, I think they have what it takes to go over 4.5. Read me off that schedule, Matt.
I'm pulling it up right now because that seems low. I think they're like a 5-6 win team, maybe 7.
Yeah.
Charleston Southern, at Virginia Tech, at South Carolina, Georgia State, Utah State, at Bama, LSU, Missouri, at Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, at Tennessee.
They get State and Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I like their non-con. I think Virginia Tech is kind of the game for them, right, to set the tone in the year in week 2. I mean, I'm going to take the over here.
Oh, for sure. I think that's a slam dunk. They're going to beat Kentucky at home. They're going to beat Auburn at home. Actually, they might not win that. But yeah, Charleston Southern, Utah State, Georgia State, right there. That's 4 wins.
Yeah.
And then they're going to steal one with Pavia. At Virginia Tech, they could very well win. Missouri, yeah. I mean, yeah, I like that.
Don't they get South Carolina at home too?
At South Carolina.
Oh, okay, that's tricky. That's tricky. If it was at home, that'd be interesting. Even though, they only fill half that stadium usually. I want to read off Green Waves. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt here because he did the good UT thing. Aggie Yell will be better than Nico was last year. UT has a stable of solid backs. If Sampson is a 3-star, can win the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, then we'll be fine with a couple 4-stars. I think there's some merit there, man. I think the Josh Heupel system can take you far. I wouldn't be, that surprised if it's like a 9-win year. Really, I wouldn't. I have you 8-4, which isn't a disaster year. It's not terrible. We'll see, man. I'm ready to be wrong there. I have nothing against Tennessee. In fact, I went to the A&M at Tennessee game in 2023 and had a really good time. Matt was there with me. We went to that game together, and fans were cool. Venue was cool. That's a historic place, man. All right. That does it.
Neyland's the last stadium I've ever been to, I would say. And that was just a random A&M. Like, it was a ranked matchup, I think, but it had no business being that loud in the upper decks like it was.
The punt return was insane. A&M had I don't even get started with that game. That was like when I was out on Jimbo. The post-game presser there was brutal. Olin challenged Jimbo. Olin Buchanan challenged Jimbo. All right, Matt, of all of these, over-unders that you picked, which 2 are you most confident in?
A&M over 7.5, and Auburn under. Arkansas under 5.5.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I won't repeat. I feel good about A&M. I'm gonna go Vandy over 4.5 if you can still find that line anywhere. I'm gonna smash that one. And I'm gonna go Bama over 9.5. Man, I think this is a 10-11 win year for Alabama. Man, I'm really high on the team now. But yeah, I'm real. If you can get A&M at 7.5, I mean that is a slam dunk. All right, guys, here's what I'm gonna do. We got playoff picks coming right up. I'm gonna drop the call-in link in the chat now. We're going to take callers after we give our playoff picks. And if you guys want to talk about the A&M depth chart, if you guys want to make your national champion pick here on the show, y'all call in now and get in that waiting room. For now, Matt and I are going to give our playoff picks. Like I said, we got to get this out there, man. I got to get this out there before week 1. I already cheated and saw a big time. That was like a playoff matchup, right? Iowa State, Kansas State. That has major implications. But I'm not going to pick one of those teams. I feel like that's cheating. Even though Kansas State, that's a pretty nice looking pick. I mean, I'm sorry. Iowa State's a nice looking pick now. Let me get this link posted for you guys. Anybody wants to call in, give your national picks, talk A&M, whatever you want to do. I don't care. All right, Matt. I think you're up first. Let's do it this way. I want you to give me your top 4 first, and then I'll give my top 4 first. And just give me a couple of reasons why.
Okay, my top 4, I think, is my 1 seed. I had Penn State. I just think Penn State, all the stars have aligned for them. I think they're going to have a undefeated type season, win the Big Ten, and finally, get over the hump per se during the regular season. And I go in it like at 13-0. At number 2, I have, was it Georgia or Texas? I forget.
You have Clemson at 2.
Clemson at 2. Clemson, same boat, undefeated season for Clemson is what I'm predicting in the ACC. I think both those teams actually go undefeated during the regular season. At 3, I have Texas because I think Texas will get in there at like 11-1. So at 3,
Homer pick, not real Homer. Okay, you're fine. It's possible.
Yeah. So, and then at 4, I have Georgia. So I'm guessing, I guess I picked Texas to beat Georgia in the SEC title.
So you have Texas losing to Georgia, then solving their Georgia problem. Georgia probably undefeated and then losing the last game of the year in the title, right? Is that kind of what you're saying? Because that would get them potentially in a 4 seed.
Yeah, because I think Georgia's going to beat Bama at home. So, yeah, that's exactly how I see it going.
And then you have these undefeated, so that's why you don't have Texas as number 1, even though they win the SEC. All right, that's reasonable. All right, guys. Here's mine. Number 1 seed. I think you guys have been anticipating this. I have Bama losing 1 regular season game to Georgia, but then getting it back in the SEC championship, and I have them as the number 1 seed. I also have Clemson as the 2 seed. I have them going undefeated. That's why I have them at 2. I really like what they bring back. Basically the same team and an upgrade at defensive coordinator. They get Penn State's defensive coordinator, Wes Goodwin. A lot of a lot of Clemson fans not a big fan of him. Let's see if he can take this thing to the next level. At the 3 seed, I have Penn State winning the Big Ten this year. I'm just going to say PSU. It's a long name. And at the 4 seed, I've been going back and forth here. I think it's UGA. I think they run the table, then lose in the SEC title game to Bama in a rematch. So I also have two. I also have 2 SEC teams in the top 4 with the bye week in week 1 of the playoff. Matt, we'll go back to you now. Tell us who you have in the first round, starting with the 8-9 side. I'm sorry, just go in order. I'm sorry, that's too confusing. Just go 5, 6, 7, 8 right now.
Okay, I can do that. At 5, I got Notre Dame. I think they have an 11-1 type season, just 1 loss. Pretty resume. Notre Dame will be there. At 6, I have Bama. So I'm high on Bama as well. Not as high as you, but I think they're in there at 10-2.
Not in the title game. They're just making it based on like a 10-2, 2 SEC loss a year, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then at 7, I have Oregon. I like that defense. Mateo Uiagalelei, whatever you say it, is he's back. And Dante Moore, man, I'm a believer in him. DeCorian Moore's there now too. So I got Oregon at 7. They got a lighter schedule too in the Big Ten.
Yes, they do. I think Oregon's a year away from being that team. I think they're pretty young this year, but they have the schedule and the talent to make it. I have them in it, but I don't have them making as much noise in it as they probably will next year. And what's your 8th team?
Ohio State.
Yep.
They're going to be there. I mean, come on. Too much talent.
Too much talent. All right. I don't think this is where anyone's going to be mad at me yet. I think we're pretty safe in these next 4 picks. All right. Number 5. I have Texas. Y'all might be mad at me. Yeah, I have Texas making the playoff. I have them not in the SEC title game. I think they lose 2 SEC games and they're sitting outside, but obviously the brand is going to carry them to a high seed. The brand is going to carry them pretty far. They're going to be the top non-bye week seed in the playoff at 10-2 with losses to Georgia and Florida. Hope I'm wrong there. Hope A&M can change that. I think, like I said, guys, I think it's coming down to that last game, and it's a rivalry. Who knows what can happen. At 6, I have Ohio State. I think they lose to Texas. I have Texas winning week 1, guys. I know. I just think Texas is a step ahead in kind of the players they bring back. I think Ohio State has a little bit more of a reset, just breaking in new guys. And I just have Texas slightly edging out in week 1. And then I have Penn State running the table, then losing in the Big Ten championship to Penn State. Then I have – who do I have? Oh, then I have Notre Dame. I also have them as a 1-loss team. I just think without the championship game, they're not going to be a 5 or a 6. But I do have them as a 1-loss team. If they go undefeated, they're the 5 seed. Does an undefeated Notre Dame get the bye week?
Yeah, they can, right? It's just top 4 teams now.
Yeah. I don't know who they lose to. It could be A&M. And if it's A&M, A&M's in this playoff, I think. But I think they drop 1. Maybe they're not supposed to. I think they win. I think they start the year 2-0, but they probably just drop a game. That Boise State game's going to be tricky. It's going to be interesting. And at number 8, it's my last safe pick. The rest gets crazy, guys. I'm so sorry. Oregon. Again, schedule's very workable. I think their only primetime game is at Penn State. I have Penn State winning that one. But this team has the talent and the continuity and the coaching staff to make it this far. But again, I don't have them making a lot of noise. You'll see in a second. All right, Matt. Give me your last 4.
Okay. At the 9 seed playing Ohio State, I have the Baylor Bears. And it's funny because I think Baylor's going to lose Friday to Auburn. But they have a very favorable draw in the Big 12. I think they win the Big 12 and get in and kind of get hot down the stretch. Dave Aranda's kind of brought that program back, Sawyer Robinson, and they got some good weapons, and their defense is always going to be stout. So give me Baylor at 9.
Love it.
At 10, I have Louisville, which is kind of my wild card pick. I think there's going to be a third, or would that be a second, ACC team. There's going to be have Clemson in there. Yeah, I think Louisville's got it.
Happened last year, right?
Yeah. I think it happens again. Louisville's got a favorable schedule. I think they play Clemson. I think they could win that. It's a Friday night at home. They got Miller Moss transferred in. They got some good receivers, Chris Bell. And I'm just a Jeff Braun believer. He's back in his alma mater. He was so good at Purdue, and now he's finally kind of got that Scott Satterfield stink off the program. So they're a dark horse. I'm going Louisville at 10. At 11, I have A&M.
What?
Yeah, so get hyped, Aggies in the chat.
You have us going 10-2?
No, I had y'all going 9-3, but 10-2 I could see too. So maybe I do have y'all at 10-2. But I think what happens is I think there's just carnage across the SEC and finding the fourth. There's going to be 4 teams, and you're choosing between A&M, Florida, OU, and LSU probably. And I have the most trust in A&M just with the veterans, and that schedule is the most favorable. I think they lose to Notre Dame, but I think they beat LSU maybe, and just have just enough in the tank to get in as the last SEC team.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
But y'all are gonna lose immediately, so don't get too excited.
Okay, thank you. At least it's not to Baylor like JD Pickell. All right, what's your 12th team? What's your G5 team?
I just flipped a coin and went through Twitter and wanted to see who everyone was picking, and James Madison. James.
All right, that's fine. I'm not going to give too much explanation to mine either because I also have Boise State as my 12th seed. All right, we're going to go Boise. I think they bring a lot back outside of Janty. We'll just say Boise here. All right, guys. This is where things get real hard. If y'all do this playoff prediction exercise, 9 through 11 is a shit show. And I think, Matt, you'll acknowledge that with, I don't know how confident you are in Louisville. I don't know how confident you are in A&M. At 9, I also have Baylor coming out of the Big 12. I like a lot of what they bring. I love their offense. I actually have them winning this Friday. I actually have them beating Auburn this weekend. And I think that kind of sets off the Hugh Freeze time bomb. But not very confident in that pick. If Auburn wins that, there's a path where they can, swing back to this thing because they have at OU in week 4. We're off that week. We'll be watching that one diligently because we have Auburn the next weekend. You and I are going to be at that Auburn game. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah. I'm hyped.
Matt's going to go to the Auburn game with me. At 10, I have – this is a wild card pick, guys. Hear me out. Illinois. The S is silent. Illini. Illy. I don't know how to spell. I can't spell. I'm in shambles because I hate the pick. Here's what I see. I see 17 returning starters. They're still going to lose it. Ohio State at home. And their next toughest game is at Purdue and then home versus USC. That is workable, man. And this is a team that brings back that many starters and had a feel-good bowl win over South Carolina last year. Piglama's back. I like Altmaier. They bring back the entire offensive line, the running back stable, most of the defense. Receiver will have to be a new look. It'll be a new look room, but a lot of teams are doing that. I have Illinois as my wild card team at 10. I'm really tempted to pick A&M now because I'm going 9-3. Oh, I can't do it though. Guys, I can't jinx it. I can't put A&M in there. I'm not going to do it. Give me Florida at 9-3. Give me the Gators. The schedule, it's really hard. But if they get to the last 5 games, read me the last 5 games of Florida's schedule, Matt. If they get to the last 5 games and they win out, they will be in the playoff. They'll have a 5-game winning streak to show for. They will have had wins versus either Texas, Miami, LSU, A&M, Georgia. They're going to have some major, major wins to their resume. End with Florida State. That should be good. Matt, give me the last 5 games.
Georgia and Jacksonville, at Kentucky, at Ole Miss, Tennessee at home, and Florida State at home.
Ole Miss is an inflection point. We'll see there. But all right, do you just want to give me your whole how the thing runs down now? Because we're just going to move some names around now. Give me the rest of your playoff.
Yeah, is that mine on the screen?
You're on the screen now.
So Ohio State over Baylor, and then you got Penn State versus Ohio State, and I'm taking Ohio State.
Final 4 Ohio State. Give me this bracket.
Notre Dame over James Madison, and then I got Georgia getting revenge on Notre Dame, advancing against Ohio.
That's a juicy duo, Penn State, UGA right there. All right, give me this side.
I got Oregon beating Louisville, and then Clemson beating Oregon.
All right.
And then Bama beating A&M, sadly, for Drewtamu.
Honestly, I would take it, but hey, we're not losing if we're in.
Yeah, and then Texas beating Bama. But if y'all win, y'all will play Texas in the playoff, which would be crazy.
That would be insane. All right. Who's in the championship?
So I have Georgia beating
you have Texas
Ohio.
Bama here.
Oh yeah. Texas beats Bama.
All right. And then Ohio State, Penn State. Was that a
I got,
game?
yeah, that's a game, and I'm picking Ohio State to get
Okay.
some revenge after losing in the Big Ten title. And then right here, I'm going to go Texas beating Clemson. I think Clemson has a ceiling. They got the ACC roster in my eyes, and Ohio State, Georgia. I'm taking Georgia. I think Georgia's the
Oh my goodness. You have the Georgia thing again in the Natty in your pick. This is your dream scenario. Don't even lie. This is just your dream come true here. You're going to
no.
pick Texas.
I'm picking Texas just because Vegas is telling me to pick Texas. They're the favorite for a reason, but this is not good because I have Texas winning the SEC championship, which means that Georgia would be in the revenge spot here, which means I think Georgia could very well win that. So I'm gonna pick Texas, but I think this is kind of what it's gonna look like in the Final Four: Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, Clemson. But give me the long.
That's a very reasonable Final Four. I mean, honestly, not my world, but that's many people's champion right there. But that is literally Matt's dream come true right there. Getting that Georgia game back in the Natty, that's huge. All right,
Oh, yeah.
who's Drew's Natty champion? I have Oregon beating Baylor. Oregon versus Bama. I have Texas beating Boise. There's your Georgia Texas matchup right there.
Yeah.
I have Ohio State beating Florida. I also have Penn State versus Ohio State in the playoff. A lot of rematches possible this year. Notre Dame versus Clemson. I have Clemson beating Notre Dame. I love Clemson this year. I have Penn State. This is going to be like a third time they've played this year. I'm a believer in the team. I'm a believer in what they bring back. It's James Franklin's time. They're both Clemson, Penn State in the Final Four. These are two of my top three teams. Guys, I have Texas beating UGA. I also have them getting over it. Y'all are going to hate me. I have Bama versus Texas. Bama's my 1 seed. I think they're the most talented team around. And here's my Final Four. I have Clemson in the Natty. I love what Clemson has this year. I think they made the right move bringing in Penn State's coordinator. I think Wes Goodwin was hurting them. I think it's a big deal to get the entire offense back. It's the same team, guys, and it's Dabo Swinney. He's been there, done that. But I have Bama beating Texas, man. Texas doesn't get past Bama in the Final Four. You get another semifinal run, and you come up just short again. 3 semifinals in a row. Let me ask you this. I mean, I know my answer to this question, but if you lose in the semifinal 3 years in a row, you just keeping firing away, right? You don't change a dang thing. You're just forward. No coordinator shifts, no uneasy feeling. Even though you're coming up just short, you're all right, right?
No, 2026 is our year. This is house money. We're going to win an Addy here soon. This year will be found money, I would say. So keep it going. Sark's building a monster.
And this game is going to take us back to like recent memories, recent childhood, like Clemson versus Bama. This is the late 2010s, reinvigorated, and Clemson is my natty pick this year, guys. I got Dabo Swinney back on the mountaintop. I love the team. I can't wait to watch them. I'm going to bet a lot on Clemson this year. I think they go undefeated this year. I think they might go undefeated to the bitter end this year. I think Clemson could win, depending on that game one, could win every game in the season this year. I couldn't be more high on Clemson. I love what they have up front. I love the coordinator shift. I love the receivers. I love the offensive line. I love the quarterback. Give me all the Clemson stock. Let's see what happens at the running back room there. That's my only question with Clemson. But I have Clemson on top. Bama could win it, though. Bama's right there. They could win it. But that's the picks, guys. I have Clemson, and Homer over here has Texas. But how much can we complain? Because he has A&M in the playoff. I couldn't do it. I didn't want to jinx our boys. Matt, thanks for jumping on, man. That was a lot of fun. We have our predictions out there. We can go be wrong within the first 2 weeks of the season. Any final thoughts heading into week one, man?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it again soon, man. It's the best time of the year. Let's go play some football. I mean, Texas, Ohio State. And y'all watch out for Jeff Traylor. Saturday night, I'm telling y'all. Money line, UTSA.
Stop. That's another troll attempt. He has us in this freaking playoff. He's not believing that. All right, Matt. Thanks for jumping on. We'll talk soon. I'll see you at the Auburn game.
Oh, yeah. I'll be there.
Later.
Book 'em.
Oh, I hated that. I hated that a lot. Okay. Well, Matt has us in the playoff, man. How do you feel about that, guys? That is insanity right there. That is just insanity. All right. I am going to run to the restroom real quick. We've been on for over an hour, and then I'm going to get... Oh, gosh. I just read the name of this first caller. The name is Courtney Davis Fumbled. I'll be right back. This is going to be interesting. All right. What's up, Tej? What's up, Noble Guy? You're going to jump in on the call. Sounds good. Stanford in the ACC is still wrong. It's so wrong, dude. It's so wrong. Even SMU's pushing it, but that is just ridiculous. All right. Courtney Davis fumbled. I'm assuming you're a resident Clemson fan. I just picked your team.
You're correct.
Your team. I just picked your team to win it all, and you're going to do this to me?
Well, I didn't know you were going to do that.
Okay, that's fair. All right, you can change your name next time you call in to T. Higgins pushed off, all right?
Absolutely, I will.
Thank you. All right, how you feeling? Is Clemson your pick, or are you too scared to do it?
Oh, man. I think we're going to be the Final Four, but I don't see it yet.
What's your holdup? I know you've been a friend of the channel since day one. I mean, I know you hate Wes Goodwin. That's not enough to get you over the top?
We are going to find out. I hope Wes Goodwin is as bad as I think he was.
He's an OU, right?
Yeah, because what I saw last year was like we looked like a Big 12 team from like back in the day when no team could play defense there.
Well, y'all have so much talent on defense.
We do.
There was really no excuse for those. I mean, y'all were kind of soft up front versus Texas, even though y'all.
Oh God, dude, we looked beyond soft. I mean, we gave up like I think almost 300 yards to the Citadel running the ball. I just think that Tom Allen. I guess that's my thing is how quickly can Tom Allen get the fundamentals corrected because he's got a lot of talent.
Yeah. Are they implementing a full system? Is it going to be pretty similar to before? Is it new language? Because that's always a hurdle, even though you have a veteran team.
Now, I don't think he's really going to change all that much, honestly.
Yeah.
I just, from what I've heard, things look better. My big prediction is I think this LSU game is going to be a blowout in either way.
You think?
I don't think it's going to be a close game. Someone's going to get blown out.
I can definitely see that, man. Because for LSU, I'm seeing this thing going one of two ways. Either the O-line clicks or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, Clemson's gonna have a field day. You're gonna be picking the ball off. You're gonna be sacking us. You're gonna be stuffing the run with your talent. But if it clicks, LSU will. I'll have to change my playoff prediction because if LSU clicks offensive line and defense in week 1, that's like a surefire playoff team. Like they have everything else, but it's just these huge question marks. But I'm with you there, man. I have to ask you how you're feeling about A&M since I have you on outside perspective.
I'm pretty positive about A&M. I think Mike Elko's a very good coach. I think there's going to be a big jump year 2. I don't think A&M will be competing for a national championship this year, but I could see a playoff push.
Yeah. Well, who's your natty pick?
Man, I'm going on Alabama, man.
Me too.
DeBoer he's a really, really good coach. He's won everywhere he's been. I think they're going to win it. I don't know. I feel like his first year, I just don't see a repeat of that. I don't think he's as bad as he looked. I think he's a good coach.
I think there was a weird system fit with Milroe. I think Milroe has talent, but for someone else's system, I think Ty Simpson has potential to be the guy that they need. He's been there for a while. It's not like they're breaking in some young guy like Sayin or something like that. I think he's pretty mature guy. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to come down to quarterback play, but they have literally everything else you could ever ask for. But all right, man, college football coming up this weekend. Anything else you want to get off your chest?
I'm picking Texas as well because of Ohio State's lost both their coordinators. And I would not be surprised if Syracuse beats Tennessee. I am not big on Tennessee at all.
Okay. That's fair. All right, man. If that's it, I appreciate the call. You're actually a lot more reasonable than I thought you'd be today.
Yep. It was great talk. Talk to you later.
Later, man. That's our Clemson fan. He hangs out sometimes. He hangs out. All right, guys. We got open phone lines. Anybody else wants to get in there, you just click the link. I need to pin it in the chat real quick for you guys because it is now lost deep in the chat. I know Noble Guy wants to jump on. Anybody else wants to jump on, now is the time. I'll catch up with the chat here real quick as we wait. And if not, I'll just bullshit with you guys and we'll get off early. Oh, Clemson's defense against the Citadel was so bad. Nancy Mace ran for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Stanford in the ACC is still wrong. I agree with you, David. I agree with you. Cuse has 14 blue chippers. UT has 50 plus. I'd be hard pressed to make that pick, but it is a trendy pick right now, Green Wave. But I absolutely hear you, man. I hear you. I don't think I'm making that pick, but I'm really intrigued by Tennessee now. I'm real intrigued because as I think about it, like what Heupel can do for an offense, just his system and just plug and play and just, I think the system alone is worth some offensive credit. So we'll see, man. I'll be keeping an eye for sure. TX Ag 22. What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, nothing. I just, not a long time fan of the show. I watched the past couple of episodes, and I thought your predictions were interesting. You think a 9-3 is going to be enough?
It's going to be real close. I think there's only a subset of schedules that are going to compete with it. I think a 9-3 can get over a certain 10-2 Big Ten team. Like I think there are some Big Ten teams on the fringe, like maybe a Nebraska or an Indiana, that don't have enough meat on their schedules. And as long as they don't have like a conference championship appearance or something like that, I could see a 9-3. I think OU's schedule has enough meat. I think A&M's schedule could potentially have enough if you win the right games, especially if that 9-3 season includes a win versus Texas. I think Florida's absolutely in that category if they win the right games. And I think Matt and I both had a 9-3 team making it, but there are going to be a lot of 10-2 teams competing, so it's going to be close.
Well, that's kind of my thing, is because I was class of 22, so I'm my junior year. We got snubbed, and their reasoning was you guys lost to Alabama by too much of a margin. So I think that's going to be part of it. It's how do we lose to Notre Dame or Texas or LSU if we do? Do we keep it close on the road, or do we just get absolutely blown out in Baton Rouge or Notre Dame? And that's going to be their reasoning to.
Yeah, we're haunted by that 22 decision, right? I mean, we were right there in it. We finished the year on a huge streak, and it didn't work out. Notre Dame got in ahead of us, and last year it happened to South Carolina, right? I mean, South Carolina had as good a finish as you could have asked for, and they got snubbed. So
yeah, the committee has made it very clear that if you're a borderline team in terms of your record, if you're not blowing everybody else out or you're not keeping it close in your losses, you're not getting in.
Yeah, and I'll be fair, it's going to be a shit show, I think. I think 8 or like 9 through 14, that could go so many different directions right now. I feel pretty confident about like my top 7 or 8 up until the Big 12 champion. I feel pretty secure in that. Of course, anything can happen, but there's going to be so much parity in the back end of this thing, man.
No, for sure, for sure. You think Texas has got it in them this year? Or, unfortunately,
who are you a fan of? You're an Aggie, right?
Yeah, class of 22.
Okay, nice. Do I think Texas has it in them this year? Unfortunately, I do think there's a championship path for them this year, but I don't see it hitting. I think they're a year away. I think it depends in 2026 what they're able to retain. I think that A&M game is going to be real interesting at the end of the year. I think we're going to have a lot on the line that game yet again. And it happened that way last year, right? You don't see it because A&M went 8-4 again, but that was an SEC championship playoff game for all intents and purposes. So I think it comes down to that once again. But, man, I know there's a lot of hype around Arch. I know hype is the word, and maybe they're overhyped, but even with that, it's still a talented team, right? Like maybe it's not as good as that hype indicates, but they've been recruiting really well. It's like year 5 or 6 of a system. Like that thing is clicking right now, and hopefully we can like land a blow on them. Hopefully we can knock that thing down a peg this year.
Well, no, see, that's the scariest thing to me is when it was announced that they were going to join the SEC. I told my friends that Texas joining the SEC is not going to be how it was when we joined. They built their roster for their last 2 or 3 years in the Big 12 for the SEC. Like the way they prepped for the SEC, I have to hand it to them. It was very strategic.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who anticipated them coming in and struggling just from just the sheer fact of going Big 12 to SEC, but I had a feeling from day one they were going to be a contender for the conference, man. They had the talent, they had the continuity, they had the staff. And I hate sitting here gushing over Texas. I just hope, I deeply hope we beat their ass this year. I'll say that.
No shit. Well, appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for calling in, man.
Yep.
Later. That was TX Ag 22, first time caller. Good to hear from you, man. Anyone else think if Arch Manning's last name was Smith, he would have been a 3-star? I don't think he would have been a 3-star. I don't know if he'd be the number 1 player in the country. I think he has 5-star tools. I think I see that. I'd love to be wrong. Can someone explain to me why everyone is so high on LSU? It's a really exciting receiver room. You bring back one of the best statistical quarterbacks of 2025. Of 2024. That's a big deal because there's not a lot of quarterback returners amongst the top ranks this year. There's a lot of flip in there, a lot of new quarterbacks, and they're one of the teams that aren't doing that. The defense, I think we're banking on kind of the revamp to finally hit this year because last year LSU revamped by way of coordinator hires and assistant hires. They took a step forward. They went from bottom feeder to mid-tier SEC defense. Everything is like built around this offensive line that lost 4 guys to the NFL last year hitting. Like, that is the differentiating factor for LSU this year. And same thing with this defense elevating. I know they bring, I'm going to blank on names, but they bring in one of the best corners in the portal, and they bring in 2 solid safeties and like 3 solid defensive ends in the portal. And they're hoping that this is the year they can kind of rise to be in that top half chunk of the SEC defenses. So if that, offensive line and that defense, if they both hit, everything else is in place for LSU. But I have to say that the reports coming out of camp about that offensive line, the defense is probably going to be all right. But that offensive line in particular scares me, especially comboed with like what Nuss can be under pressure. If it hits, they're really freaking good. If the offensive line hits, this is a playoff team, and I have to change my prediction. We'll find out week 1. But right now, I don't think it hits all the way, and I think they're a 9-3 team. We'll see, though. Again, we're going to learn everything in a couple of weeks. They forget Brian Kelly hasn't won a BCS Bowl, a New Year's Six Bowl, or a playoff game anywhere he's been. That is true, man. A lot of people will tell you that LSU culture is sour. I don't know if I'd go that far. I just think there are holes in the roster right now that they're not maybe that aren't going to be fully addressed in that offensive line. But we'll see, man. I could be wrong. I'm reserving that right to be wrong about it. I'm wrapping up on another call, getting on. Sounds good, Noble. We'll close the show up with Noble Guy's call. I want to hear his takes on the national stuff. Are they returning a lot of production or a good portal year? They return their best receiver from last year. I think he was like by a few yards better than Lacey last year, and Aaron Anderson. I think LSU insiders and fans will tell you that Chris Hilton is their most talented receiver, but he didn't play much last year. He was injured all year until the last 3 years. He was really good. In the last 3 games, he was really good, and he's back. And then they bring in maybe probably the best receiver haul in the portal, Nick Anderson, Barry, and Brown. Texas has the talent for sure, but I think them and OU are going to find out they're not just going to run through the conference like the Big 12. It's like I was just saying. I think I think OU, you might be right. Unfortunately, I think Texas has like built themselves to sustain themselves through an SEC schedule, and these schedules are really uneven. Their home schedule is really favorable this year. On the road at Florida, on the road at Georgia is going to be tough. Their toughest home game doesn't come to the last game of the year at A&M, so there's some meat on the bone for them this year, and they have enough talent to do it. So I think they have the draw and the roster to do it, to be a 10-win team for sure. To quote Dan Campbell, I'm proud to have gone to a school where men like women and women like men. I'll leave that one alone and just let it be, David. Great quote. Amen. This was so much funnier live at the 1993 bonfire. Is that when he said it? That is amazing. Thanks for fleshing that out. A lot of ifs in those statements. Gigamags, just started my master's program at A&M. Well, man, congrats, Tej. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting. Guys, while you're in here, if you could drop a like, drop a subscription if you're new. I'm going live again Thursday. It's going to be exclusively an A&M show. I am going to give a couple of big game predictions, so I guess I just lied through my teeth there. I want to predict the LSU-Clemson game. I want to predict Notre Dame-Miami. I want to predict maybe Tennessee-Syracuse, maybe the big 3 or 4 games, 5 games or so in week 1. And we're going to talk all about A&M, preview the season, talk about the week 1 game. I'm going to give you guys a chance to call in and call your shot on a score prediction versus UTSA. And I have a Hall of Fame. Last year, Noble Guy, the guy who's about to call in, was the only guy that got a score prediction right last year, and he got the McNeese game right on a last-second McNeese field goal. He's immortalized. This is going to take its rightful place right here on camera for the rest of the season. And if you make it, you get to go in the Hall of Fame. Also, this Thursday, since we hit 3,000 subs, we smashed 3,000 subs. I told you guys if we hit 3K before the season, I'm ring dunking before the season starts. So Thursday, to start the show off, I will be ring dunking. I'm going to drop the Aggie ring, this puppy right here, bottom of the pitcher, and we're chugging. We're chugging a beer, and then I'm taking calls. So it should be a lot of fun. So guys, make sure you like, sub, turn on notifications. Shout out RHOBACK for supporting the channel. Discount code Drewtamu, 20% off. Merch like this. They just dropped their Aggie line. Really cool stuff from RHOBACK. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're just waiting on one more call from Noble. Are you surprised Borkashire over Nyblack? I was just assuming you second string for sure. I think Nyblack's going to have a very specific role, maybe a third down target, a third down tight end receiver. I wouldn't read too much into that particular one. I would read mostly into Theo being the lead guy because I think you kind of want him to be that, and he has that upside. So I'm not concerned about that. I think Nyblack's going to play a lot. Sam Rude Rao, you're him. No, you're him. No game in the background Thursday. Oh, David Franz, you got to believe I'm going to have games on in the background. I got a big-ass TV right here behind the whole set thing here. That TV's going to have games on. I'll probably throw the scoreboard on the side of the screen. David, we got it going. It's watch party time. Watch along for Saturday? No, because I'll be at the game. The first watch party of the year. It's going to be a big one. It's week 3 versus Notre Dame. I can't wait, man. That is the kickoff of watch party season for this channel this year. Noble, how you feeling, man? We are 4 sleeps away, man.
Oh, I am excited. Yeah, it's almost unreal. Like, we've been, praying and dreaming of this moment, and then like now it's here. It's like, oh, it's almost a moment of panic. I'm like,
I know.
I feel like I did all the research throughout the course of the season, and then now I'm like a week before, and it feels like I did not study enough. I studied harder for this than I have for anything I ever did in school.
Dude, I hear
I'm
you.
still unprepared.
I was stressing about my playoff picks this year, today, all day. I was like, oh my goodness. First of all,
Honestly, well thought out. I haven't even gone that far.
it's hard, dude. It's like a puzzle because it's like, okay, well, if
It's
Penn State's
insane.
here, Ohio State has to be knocked down a couple pegs. That mix and match thing, figuring out the puzzle is a deal. And then freaking picking Illinois felt weird and gross. Picking Baylor felt weird and gross, even though I like Baylor a lot. Picking Florida was the toughest one, man. I should have just thrown A&M in there, but I didn't want to be that guy. Pal.
That's fair. I think the A&M playoff scenario is pretty simple. I don't think 9-3. The only time 9-3 would get you in is if you beat Florida and Texas. I think you could lose to Notre Dame in that situation. But in that
Finish
particular
strong, right?
scenario,
Finish strong.
yeah.
9-3 with like a win versus South Carolina and Texas to close it out. An early big win, maybe a Florida, maybe like an LSU or something like that. Maybe a Notre Dame. You lose 3 you're not supposed to, but you finish strong. You have some good wins. That can do it. And I'm laying out the groundwork for that to happen this year with the right team, with the right schedule. But for A&M, you got to beat Texas, I think, for that to happen.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It's easy. I think the A&M playoff path is pretty simple. Not easy, but simple. As far as like I was saying, like you were saying, like, making a playoff pick prediction is like completing a puzzle. The problem is, like, you're trying to complete a puzzle without all the pieces actually in hand. So I think that's kind of nutty.
You got a super blurry, like
yeah.
blurred out, censored puzzle you're trying to put together, but it's fun, right? It's like put your pen to paper and see what the hell comes out the other side. Let's see what happens. That's what it is. But all right, Noble, I got you here. Are there any SEC over-unders you want to hit on? Any teams, and do you want to give a couple playoff picks?
I love the Alabama-Georgia in the SEC championship. I think that's pretty much how it's going to play out. The funny thing is, like, I understand why so many people are fading Georgia, because it just, like, they're coming off a pretty underwhelming performance last year. They're replacing a quarterback that doesn't seem like an absolute blue chip, and like there's just a lot of questions. And then at that point, it's like, oh, this is exactly where Kirby Smart wants his guys.
Yeah,
is like the
doubted.
absolute, like he convinced like a national championship team they were gonna go 7-5. So I can't imagine what he's feeding these guys right now.
Of all the psychopaths that make up the coaching ranks in college football, he stands above the rest as the psychopath above psychopaths.
I absolutely love it.
It's so great. It's so great.
The
He is
intensity
psychotic.
is insane.
It's he can build bulletin board material out of nothing, and even I, as a fan from afar, will believe it, man. Kirby Smart is a psycho.
Yeah, I don't know if it's too much of a limb, but like people are kind of sleeping on Alabama, it feels like. So I believe in Kalen DeBoer. I think, and also going out on a risk saying Ty Simpson might be that guy, but I think he's more of a system guy. Like no one really thought of anything of Michael Penix when he first went to Washington, and then Kalen DeBoer turned him into an NFL first rounder.
Yeah. Ryan Grubb back.
They got wide receivers in Ryan Grubb. I think their schedule is not easy. Nothing is in the SEC, but I think they have enough talent that's going to get them through it. As far as the rest of this the Oklahoma thing is, I just don't know what to do with them. Like, I feel like I need to see more from their offense. Like, I need to see that on offense, because we know their defense is going to be good. The offense is like, I guess we're just going to all put our trust in to this new quarterback and this new OC that's had a really porous O-line last year. Like that, I think that was the biggest thing, was their O-line was bad. And I haven't heard anyone explain to me that, like, aside from the fact that, like, their O-line coach has had a good reputation, that
It
they're
has been
just gonna
really
fix
good
the
over the
issue.
years. Yeah, and you know, they're starting the Fusauci, true freshman at left guard. I think that's some good talent to get in there. Let's see how he adapts. But yeah, man, I mean, I like the combo of bringing Mateer and the OC in. That's a big deal. Let's see how this receiver room shakes out. Let's see how this running back room shakes out. I know Ott was the big addition there, and he's not fully healthy,
Yeah.
ready to go yet. But I think that's the kind of quarterback coordinator dynamic that can take this team places. But it's a really, really tough schedule for OU this year.
Yeah. Did we have any bold takes from any of the previous callers? I was unfortunate on another call, so I didn't hear
No, I only had two previous callers. I think they're both pretty reasonable. The Clemson guy called in, and he was pretty high on A&M. He says there's a playoff path, not a natty path, but a playoff path for A&M this year.
Yeah.
He feels pretty good about the team.
Okay.
I think he's a Bama guy as well. He's having Bama going pretty far, maybe winning the whole thing. Another Aggie called in, just, kind of talking about how that 9-3, it might be enough, it might not be enough. The precedent is set that it hasn't been enough in year one of the 12-team deal, but I think with enough chaos it can be, and the right schedule it can be, the right team it can be. That's kind of what we've gone through. Nothing really too spicy or crazy today. I think the hardest take I've seen
Well, then
today
let's
was
get spicy and crazy
my brother the Longhorn picking A&M to make the playoff.
The gaslighting's outrageous.
I know, dude.
All right. Well, hey, while before this, because obviously on Thursday night you got your ring dunk, and we got the game pick itself. I don't know how. Obviously, I think the hardest part will be the margin of victory. Everyone's gonna struggle with it, but so let's go right now. Like, let's just throw it out there. Like, what do we look like to make it to a national championship?
A&M, what does A&M look like to make a national championship? Well, I think this offense is exactly what we're visualizing it to be. I think right now, the expectation and the precedent
I'll say it.
is that this is a championship running game for sure, with extreme pass catching upside that needs to be tested and need to be seen first. But I think I'm bullish. I think I like getting into a year two system with the quarterback, with upgraded weapons at receiver, and with a solid and stable and downright elite offensive line. Potentially. Let's see them take that step, but I feel good about it.
Great.
I think the offensive potential, the offensive path is absolutely laid out there for A&M to be a 10-plus win team. I say that in like the dream scenario, right? 10-plus. Defensively is where all the questions are, right? You have a secondary that just has to play better. And if this is the one we're dreaming of, I think Des Ricks has taken that step. I think the safeties, Bryce Anderson is back to what we expected him to be. I think Dalton Brooks and Marcus Radcliffe rotate effectively as strong safety, and they're both decent players, not to be elite, but good players. Bryce Anderson has to be a real plus, borderline elite player like we thought he was going to be, and Tyreek Chappelle is just healthy in himself. Those are kind of the inflection points there, and I think that all helps out the defensive line. Now, defensive line-wise, stay healthy. That's my big key point there. I think you have enough at the top. Just you don't want to be dipping down to guys with less experience. I like the freshmen a lot, but it's a lot to ask for if they're having to play a prominent role. A guy like Sims, a guy like Sanders, a guy like Rink, even Dalen Evans. These are young dudes. Now, maybe by the midpoint of the season later, we're feeling really good about those guys. But right now, I think health and the interior D-line is paramount for this team's upside. So there it is. That's I've laid it out. Offense is as advertised and hits the upside, which is not too unattainable. I think that could happen even in an average year for A&M, but the defense holds you back. But for A&M to really strive and be 10-plus win, playoff, maybe getting a playoff win or two under their belt, that defense takes the step. And look, Mike Elko's track record is real positive for year-on-year improvement. That's happened time and time again. But there are still just innate questions in this defense I need to see. Guys coming back, guys playing a lot
100%.
better.
Yeah. I think, let me clarify my statement. I think offense has the capability of being a championship level offense. The defense, I do kind of like. I think they can be really good, just because I believe in Elko's ability to stick together with something with glue and duct tape and make a positive product out of it. I do wonder about the top end defensive talent compared to like some of the other schools out there. Like we're probably not going to fill the Penn State level defense. That being said, like if our offense can, hit that top stride, but not even to say just to, to brush the Natty. Not even saying we have to win it. I think the offense would have to carry more than the defense.
Yeah, I would say like a top 10 offensive statistical year and definitely like a top 25 defense statistical year. And I think in scoring defense, A&M was only 35th last year, so you're not asking for a giant jump, but definitely a jump. And I think you were talking about some of like the monsters, the uber talent on the defense where you feel like you might have some offensively, particularly in the backfield and that offensive line, but defensively maybe lacking there. And I think the guys that, will have something to say in that realm. I'm looking at DJ Hicks to be that guy. I'm looking at Will Lee to be that. Oh, no, let's talk about the swing pieces first. DJ Hicks could be that guy. He might not be. He has that upside. I would say Scooby might have that upside too.
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
Scooby could be that guy if he takes that huge step this year. Now, I haven't, I don't sense that he's going to be like a world beater right now, but I know he'll at least be solid. But if he can really take a leap, I think he could be a game changer for this defense. And I think Des Ricks, that's another swing piece right there. You could potentially, if he lives up to the 5-star billing, you could have 2 lockdown guys. It's possible. And the floor is raised with Julio Humphrey. And then obviously this safety room is extremely talented, right? Yeah. I think Brooks and Bryce, both blue chip guys. Ratcliffe was an absolute stud at the G5 level and has elite size. I would look for those guys to be the swing pieces, though. And then Cassius Howell, he needs to hit that upside, too, if you want to really be that defense.
Yeah. I feel like I have heard, like, little to nothing on Bryce Anderson this year. So that's why I was kind of surprised to see his name penned in. So, I mean, I was wondering, have you heard anything else on Bryce Anderson as far as, like, his, productivity in camp? I guess we're just taking the roster for what it is.
Yeah, no, I don't have any more of an ear on this thing than you guys have. I kind of see stuff as y'all see it. Like, if I see something early, I'm not going to announce it because it's not my information to give. I'm going to wait until it's public. But, yeah, I think the biggest piece towards Bryce is that he appeared to be leading in practice in the clips we've gotten. He's always done that. That's good. He's a leader. He's a willing leader. He's an intentional leader. That's good. But, he got the fall camp presser. Again, as a leader, you expect that. But to not have the or next to his name in the depth chart, I think that's the most telling sign we've had that maybe he has a chance to bounce back. But that's just, that's depth chart. We're reading hieroglyphics here, right? Like, we don't know for sure.
Tea leaves of
and what's who said it? Red 7 just had a really good statement that I agree with and I've been talking about. UTSA is the perfect team for our first game. They're going to test our secondary. We're going to learn about Bryce Anderson week 1. We're going to learn about Des Ricks week 1. We're going to learn about Tyreek Chappelle week 1. We're going to see a lot. This UTSA offense will show us a lot.
Yeah, I think so. Another thing from fall camp was I did kind of see, like, not that Terry Bussey was going to be like a bench warmer or anything like that, but it did seem like the trend for ABR starting was extremely high. And Terry Bussey's is almost like a jack of all trades where he's not necessarily going to be an expert in any one particular thing as a receiver, but he's going to be really good at kind of anywhere you put him.
Yeah, they're going to use him in specific ways. I think you're going to have drives and packages that target him. I'd like to see him get involved in the return game. I think you're going to see a fair share of Terry Bussey. And look, man, I mean, you got Terry Bussey freaking potentially coming off the rotation off the bench for you. You have freaking Ruben Owens coming off the bench for you. You have Amari Nyblack coming off the bench for you. You could have, like, I think maybe, like, talking about upside, maybe we're even downplaying the amount of weapons this offense could have in 2025. You could have
staring
so
at the upside
many
of this
pieces.
offense.
You could have so many pieces on this offense, man.
I'm absolutely ogling this offense. This offense is, like, probably going to be, if everything goes the way we think, it could be the best one since, like, it's been a long time since
2012.
we've
Who
seen this
said
good
that?
offense.
Who said that?
Who said that?
Who said that?
Someone say something.
No, let's live up to let's let 2020 be the floor. Let's let us be a maroon led team with a tough quarterback who doesn't make mistakes, who gets players the ball, who takes what's given. Let's at least be that 22 team and let the upside be what it is and let that defense stride. I don't want to get too excited because, like, there are a lot of pieces, new exciting pieces, but they are new to the offense. We got to break them in. We got to build chemistry. That's a factor here too, because a lot of these exciting pieces, Nyblack, KC, Craver, ABR is new to the scene. Bussey's a year 2 guy with kind of I'd say uneven year 1 with some positive stuff. You're breaking in a lot of new, and that's a factor we have to overcome. But the thing you're going to lean on is that running game. You're going to be leaning on defenses too.
Mm-hmm. I know we shouldn't lean on. We shouldn't lean on any kind of like highlight reels from practice camp, but like there's some throws Marcel made, like just on the clips. I'm like, I know shouldn't read into that too much, but like look pretty good. Not gonna lie.
I mean, yeah, they're going to show us the good stuff, and obviously we had the bad ones too early in camp. So there's good and bad in practice.
Yeah, you can't read too much either one. Yeah,
but the good
I'm
ones,
saying,
what I
like,
noticed with the
God-
good ones is he has a clean pocket, and he's delivering a good ball. And the good balls are KC over Will Lee on a couple of those clips, and that's good because Will Lee's good. So that's positive.
Well, it's the hitting the deep routes is like because if like everyone who preying on our downfall, if they ever see Marcel able to complete passes on a regular basis, it's all game on. It's game on.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, so I think upside, you're looking at top 30 defense, top 25 hopefully, but top 30 defense minimum, top 15 offense, and I think that can get A&M into the playoff very, very easily. Like if we get that, that's playoff material. You have some tough games though. I want to caveat everything by saying that you could have some good performances and losses this year. That's very much in the normal possibility. And you could just go out, beat everybody you're supposed to, including Florida, because you're gonna be favored in that game, I think, and then just lose Notre Dame, Texas, LSU, the teams that might be better than you on the road. You're not favored in those games, and just not make the playoff. Like even if A&M strives, like that is a possibility this year. But I think that'd be a year we could still live with.
Oh, absolutely. That'd be massive progress. And I'm not predicting us to win a championship. But while the season has not yet started, might as well dream, right?
Dream. Let's dream. This is the time to do it, man. But, hey, let's just hope UTSA leaves a good taste in our mouths. And I want to say this, and I'll re-mention this. I'll reiterate this on Thursday. Guys, I don't want us panicking about this defense if we give up 24 to UTSA. We're breaking in. Like, this defense has some strides to take, and it might take a couple weeks to get there. And Notre Dame will be the ultimate test. But UTSA is a legit offense. Don't freak out if it's 24. Now, if it gets to like 35, that's where things get kind of weird. I'm like, okay, man, okay. But around 24 points from this defense, especially like a late touchdown, UTSA has a big game in week 2. They play Texas State, rivalry game at home week 2. They're going to be fighting in this game to the bitter end. They're going to be trying to get the best reps possible, especially if there's a situation where A&M's putting backups in. So I would expect, like, this game screams backdoor cover to me. I'll talk about this all more Thursday. But anyway, man. All right, Noble. You going to call in Thursday for the Ring Dunk Show? Oh, you're cutting out. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I'll make time. I know that the Nebraska game. Wait. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Oh,
I got you.
Okay. I was saying, I'll call in. Nebraska game will be on as well, and I think I have an NFL draft or fantasy draft. But yeah, I'll make time to call in.
Hell yeah, man. It'll be a hell of a night. We'll be Ring Dunking. We'll be having fun. We'll be previewing the game. Maybe you can get back on the Hall of Fame again for a second time. You'd be the only guy on there twice.
That would be kind of nutty.
It's just Noble
I don't even know.
There.
I got lucky by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah. All right, man, Noble. You have a great night. Thanks for calling in.
Cement my legacy.
Yes, you have a chance to do it this year. All right, man,
good
later.
night.
All right, that was Noble. We'll hear from him again. Troy, what's up, man? Good to see you. We went through the A&M depth chart earlier in the show. I gave my playoff predictions. I have Clemson winning it all. We gave SEC over-unders tonight. Just putting everything out there that I feel like as a YouTube creator I have to put out there. Like, I can't just not put my predictions out there, right? Like, I have to. If I'm going to talk shit and talk A&M and be like excited for things, I have to put it out there. So we did that tonight, Troy. And then Thursday, it's all A&M. We'll preview a couple week 1 games because I enjoy doing that. But it'll be mostly an A&M show. Disappointed Jonah Wilson couldn't make the 2 deep. Yeah, he's going to serve as quality depth. I think they're just really like some of the young guys in this receiver room, like a TK Norman, like an Isaiah Williams. I think those are the guys they really want to play. Watson, the K-State transfer who walked on last year as a scholarship player at K-State. No, I haven't heard anything about him, actually. He just wants to overachieve for once. It's possible, man. It's possible. Night, Jeb. Night. All right, guys. Great show tonight. Exciting times. These shows get so much better as we approach the season. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Ring Dunk Show. Make sure you like. Make sure you're subbed. Support. Try out RHOBACK. Drewtamu, 20% off. I'm so appreciative of them reaching out to the channel and signaling to us that we're doing something right out here, and that's all because of you guys. So I really appreciate y'all. I appreciate RHOBACK making the nice A&M merch for the first time this offseason, or for the first time this season. But we'll talk Thursday, y'all. We'll go long Thursday. I hope to hear as many call-ins as possible, get as many score predictions as possible Thursday night. Can't wait for the Ring Dunk Show. Y'all take care. Season's almost here. It is here. Gig 'em.